All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this here. Welcome to React and Chill on this channel. There's two things I like to do: sit on my butt and talk about music I like, and I so happen to like the music I'm talking about. That's baby metal. Now, I want to ask you guys something. Do you think baby metal really is one of the reasons, maybe one of the main reasons, but one of the reasons why Japanese metal seems to be becoming more popular in the West? Now, it still has a long way to go, but I think it is. There's interviews where Midori, the guitarist of Love Bites, has cited Love Bites, not the side of Love Bites, but cited baby metal as one of the reasons why Japan's general population has seemed to have increased an appetite for metal, which has helped the metal scene over there in Japan, and as a consequence, helped the metal scene, helped them come over here as well. Now, even other guitarists like Saki, who is an Nemophila and now doing her own thing, she cited baby metal as a positive reference as well when it comes to that. So let's explore this. Let's look at this. And I think baby metal deserves a ton of credit for boosting the popularity of Japanese metal in the West. Picture this. It's 2014, and out of nowhere, these three little girls, Su Metal, Yui Metal, Moa Metal, drop Gimme Chocolate on YouTube. And it's a wild mashup of J-pop idol vibes and full-on heavy metal riffs. And it just explodes, okay? Just explodes. Millions of views, metalheads arguing in the comments section. Suddenly, people who had never given Japanese music a second thought are hooked. Absolutely hooked. And that's where it all starts. And I'm here to tell you why it matters. Look, before baby metal, Japanese metal was this niche thing in the West. Sure, you had bands like X Japan with their cult following and amazing, groundbreaking stuff, but it wasn't mainstream. Most Western metal fans weren't digging into Loudness or Dir en Grey, though Dir en Grey is cool. I had one of their albums. Unless they are already deep into the scene. Unless they visited an anime convention, instead of focusing on the anime, you're kind of like, what's going on in this music booth? I wonder what's going on there. That was me. All right. Japanese metal was like this hidden gem, a very hidden gem. And it was appreciated by a select few. And I think there's some people who do kind of want to keep it that way. But that's how it started. And it wasn't groundbreaking stuff. You know, it wasn't. I mean, it was groundbreaking material for sure, but it just wasn't getting to the masses. And it wasn't breaking through the masses, what I'm saying there. But then baby metal comes along, and they didn't just knock on the door. They kicked it down with steel-toed boots and pigtails flying, okay? Here's the thing. Baby metal didn't play it safe. They took this insane risk, blending kawaii, cute, bubbly idol culture. Cute, bubbly idol culture. Okay, that's what kawaii is. You take that and you combine that with the shredding guitars and double kick drums. It's a kind of combo that could have flopped. It could have flopped hard. But it didn't. Like, imagine pitching that to a room full of skeptical metal purists. Oh, that would never get by. Imagine that. You're like, okay, metal guys, check this out. Hey, how about some teenage girls singing about how about how they really wanted to eat some chocolate, but they're worried about their weight over thrash metal? You'll get laughed at. They'd be like, what are you talking about? Is it like a comedy? You know, what are we doing here? You get laughed out of the room there, okay? But it worked. It absolutely worked. And it worked because it was fearless. That Gimme Chocolate video, I mean, that has an insane amount of views now. How many views does it have? A lot of views. Like what? The crazy amount of views. It went viral because it was so different, so unapologetic, and it was so unique, and it hit the West like a shockwave, man. Now, let's talk impact. Baby metal just didn't get the clicks. They got on stage. They got on stage, and that matters a lot, dude. That matters a lot. They played the Download Festival, the Sonosphere, Rock on the Range, huge Western metal festivals where legends like Metallica and Slayer headline, you know? And they wouldn't just show up. They owned it. At sometimes, of one time, they were snuck in. Talk about metal. Talk about metal. They weren't even officially invited. They snuck in thanks to Dragon Force. Really, Dragon Force kind of helped Baby Metal out, didn't they? They did. They did. If it wasn't for Dragon Force, no, someone else probably would have snuck him in. But that's very cool. That's so metal right there. I like that story. But they owned their performances, man. I mean, think about this. These 3 Japanese girls, barely out of high school, probably, right? They were holding their own next to these big, legendary metal giants. And they weren't a gimmick anymore. They were legit. I mean, the terminology. People thought they weren't legit in the beginning, but they solidified their presence. They made it known that, hey, we are real. And that visibility, ooh, man. It focused people to pay attention to not just them, but to the idea that Japanese metal could be a serious player in the game. And that's how it is here, man. It's a wild thing how they bridge the audiences. Think about this. You got metalheads who had never touched J-pop, and they would never touch J-pop, right? And all of a sudden they're like headbanging to karate or ine or Doki Doki Morning, things like that. Then you got pop fans, anime nerds, and curious randos who stumble into metal because of Baby Metal's catchy hooks and come with the choreography and things like that, okay? It's like they built this musical gateway and pulling in people who would never have explored the genre otherwise. And once they're in, man, they start asking, what else is out there? What else is out there from Japan? And then they find bands like Love Bites, Band-Maid, Maximum the Hormone, Hanabiya, things like that. Things that are like, oh, what's this? Oh, this is so cool. They find that there's these other J-pop metal blends as well that are just very interesting. And it's like something very unique, very Japanese that you're not really getting from the West. Though there are artists in the West, like Poppy, that kind of emulate that style as of late. And they do their own, and they do pretty well. I like what Poppy does. I think what she does is fun. But I think Baby Metal really paved the road for those other bands in Japan there to really come to the West and have that market there. Though one can ask, what about Band-Maid? Because Band-Maid, I believe, started... Okay, let me ask you this. I'll ask this question. We'll explore it in another video. Who do you think really gets the credit for helping expand Japanese music scene in the West? Baby Metal or Band-Maid? Or how about both? How about both there? It doesn't really need to be a contest. See, I just did the wrong thing there. I should have made it into a contest, right? right. Okay. Anyway. But more or less, Baby Metal paved the road for a lot of other bands, and that's a great thing. That's the point of this whole video. That's the point of me talking about this. And then let's not forget about the numbers. The numbers are important. Their debut album in 2014 hit the Billboard charts, the highest charting Japanese album in the U.S. in decades. Metal Resistance in 2016, same deal. Selling out in Wembley. Touring with Red Hot Chili Peppers. Maybe it's... they played with Red Hot Chili Peppers. They collabed with Rob Halford of Judas Priest. I mean, this isn't some underground hype. It's mainstream success. And every time they do that, they're waving a flag for other Japanese bands, for Japanese metal, saying, hey, this scene's got something to offer. Now, I know the critics here. I mean, the critics are going to be like, you know what to expect. Okay, the gatekeepers who'd be like, this isn't metal. They used to say that a lot more back in the day. And sure, Baby Metal's like very produced, it's choreographed, and it's very polished to a sheen. But that's the point. That's the point of it. They took metal, they flipped it, and made it accessible without losing the heaviness. Yeah, it's going to have a lot of those J-pop elements where there's a lot of choreography, a lot of dancing, a lot of singing, all that stuff. But you have a cool band behind them as well. What they call the Kami Band, which is pretty much session musicians backing them. They're absolute beasts. They're very good at what they do. They deliver riffs and solos that shut up the doubters. Over time, even the haters have come around. You see You see it at the shows. You see it at the shows often. In crowds of tattooed metal dudes screaming along with the teenage girls in fox ears. Okay, the unity, and it's proof that they shifted the culture. I think, yeah, that is absolute unity. You see the metalhead dudes, all how they expect to look: black shirts, black pants, black hat, all tattooed up, right? They look like they'll probably be resisting for a bit, but they'll enjoy it. They'll enjoy it. They can't deny it. All right. It's that sugary J-pop element. It's that sugary pop element, okay, in the baby metal mix. It's like, it gets you. It gets you, man. It really does. It really does. And you're like, oh, yeah, all right, this is cool. This is cool. I like this. This is a cool blend, man. And there's not a lot of bands that kind of have that thing. And anyway, here's the kicker of all this, okay? Baby metal didn't just make Japanese metal popular. They made it cool. They took a genre that could have stayed in the fringes in the West and dragged it into the spotlight. The other bands are riding the wave now, I think. Getting streamed on Spotify, touring overseas because of baby metal. Because baby metal showed that it could be done. And I'm not saying this, look, there's some people who are going to take it very literally to the extreme, be like, what are you saying? Are you saying bands from Japan, metal bands, didn't tour the U.S. or Europe before baby metal? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's about the popularity of it. I've noticed that there seems to be more of a demand, and it seems like baby metal was that thing that really started it. That really started that there. Or at least helped it anyway. Helped to grease the wheels of the engine that would be the Japanese metal scene coming to the West and Europe. And okay, yeah, that's what I think. And because, like I said, baby metal showed that it could be done. And they're not the whole story of Japanese metal. They're not. They just got the spark. They were the spark that lit the fire. I should put it that way. So yeah, I mean, next time you're headbanging to some killer riff from a Japanese band, tip your hat to those girls, man. I mean, they help make it happen. At least that's what I think anyway. And maybe I'm completely wrong. At least maybe you may think so. This is all about opinions, right? You let me know in the comments section. We'll be respectful. And yeah, man, I hope to see you there. With that said, y'all take it easy and have a good one.